Felvidek is a 15th century Slovakian-themed comedic turn-based old-school RPG. What a mouthful. It has some of the most unique art direction and audio design I've ever seen in a video game. Constantly changing party members, animations that are hand-drawn, character designs that are distinct and memorable with realistic faces originating from real photographs, the occasional insanely charming 3D low-poly story cutscenes, the peak Eastern European dry humor, and probably the strangest OST I've ever heard in a video game. Creates the most memorable quest for love, but it's not without its downsides. The backtracking story design, simple repetitive combat, and a game story that left me wanting more of its amazing writing weighs Felvidek down from greatness. My name is Matthew Hayes, and welcome to Time Well Spent, a series about taking a closer look at game design, and today we're playing Felvidek, seeing if its overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam and its cult following speak the truth about its masterfully created game. Before I get into all the apping, I want to say a quick thank you to my coworker for gifting me this game. This video wouldn't have been made without him, so thanks, bro. Let's begin. The first thing you'll hopefully notice when playing Felvidek is the unique art direction. At least that's what drew me in. We play as this alcoholic wrench named Palov, still heartbroken by his ex-girlfriend's Poli's hatred toward him, drinking his life away. Whoa! That castle just exploded, which means our character now has motivation to do something other than drink to death. We're greeted outside our room by Joseph, the Lord of Felvidek. He tells us to find Matej the monk, which is Slavic for Matthew, so that's neat. I exit the castle and find this guard who pleads for some wine. It's the health potion in the game, so it's kind of a valuable resource, but you know what? I give it to him. He thanks me for my good deed by offering me a choice between some keys or this key he acquired. A guide for JRPGs. If an NPC offers you a key, always grab the key. I find a chest that matches the key on the next level of the castle, and would you look at that? 30 gold instead of 5. We head out to the courtyard with Matej and find the armorer talking smack about us and decide to duel. Okay, combat. JRPG combat is 99% of the time super simple, and Felvidek is no exception. It's a challenge to reduce the opponent's health to 0 before they defeat you. A numbers game, if you will. There are 4 actions you can do during your turn. Your weak attack that every character has, your special move based on the character and weapons equipped, and finally your average guard and inventory that's in every turn-based RPG. Display of your party members in the respective party order with their life and tool meters lie at the bottom of the screen. Life is self-explanatory, but tools not so much. It's the game's mana system for feints, limiting how many powerful attacks your party members can do. But there's items to get around this. What Felvidek doesn't stress about you is how so very necessary said items are throughout the game. In most RPGs, the items you acquire outside of battle are an afterthought or last-ditch effort to mess around with on low-level enemies. And if you go into this game with that mindset, you're gonna have a frustrating time. How do I know this? Because that's exactly what I did. The game rarely holds your hand when it comes to introducing new mechanics because of its old-school nature, but don't let that steer you away from this experience. After defeating the armorer, he opens his shop in fear of what Palov would do to him next. He offers little that's in our price range right now, but that mace is looking mighty fine for later. Sniffing around barrels and inside people's homes will reward you with 3 main types of items that are needed to survive. Alpa, a drink that resurrects a party member mid-battle, the ever so glorious plum wine, healing you to a good amount of health, and last but not least, the toolkit, replenishing tools in and outside of battle, creating more opportunities to use hard-hitting attacks. A near essential item for defeating the final boss. You've got 6 stats tied to each of your characters, and they don't really need that much attention. It's just there to show you equipment upgrades for progression. If the new equipment shows green, equip it. If red, don't. It's that simple. I throw a coin down the well and nothing happens. Felvidek's travel consists of linear paths connecting to zones around the land that once entered have detailed environments with many things to interact with. I'd be annoyed about how linear these paths are, but considering how backtrack heavy the game story is, I'm glad they're not too complicated to venture through. And our last game that we played revealed that linear paths do not equal bad game design. Enemies are always visible in the overworld, and the game has no random encounter mechanic, which is a breath of fresh air after Pokemon. Please don't take me back. This means combat encounters are predictable, and saving before an unknown fight is an understandable strategy. Not every battle you see in the overworld is mandatory though, with many of them surprisingly being optional. The reward of winning battles being gold and item drops, you'd think these fights should be engaged every chance you get, right? Well, only doing mandatory battles acquires more than enough gold to purchase items and weapons throughout the whole game, which just left me wondering why there's so many to begin with. I guess killing those Turks is just only for the love of the game for Palov. Outside the tavern, I find Timmy Tough Knuckles over here, and he decides to join the team after defeating him. While traveling with Timmy, he shares dialogue with Matej and I, and the responses are very comedic. After playing Felvidek, Eastern European driving humor might be my second favorite genre of comedy. It's so good. Timmy, no! I explored the village's church and noticed shrines and beds will fully heal your party alongside your tool meter. I also found this really cool gargoyle statue, but I can't interact with it. I entered the woods, which is the place I spent a lot of my time confused on where to go next. The eastern pathway leads you down a path to a Jew in distress about a Hussites guarding his home. I forgot to mention the Hussites and cultists are the main antagonists throughout the game. Matej tells me about how the optional fight ahead is going to be a tough one with just 2 people and some broadswords, but alas, I am stubborn. Easily the hardest fight so far against 4 enemies. A regular Hussite using average sword moves, a captain wielding a spear doing average damage, the Archway which is a funny name, wields a gun, the newest technology causing a lot of damage. So taking out this guy first is optimal. And finally, the Pillager, using the tide-changing move Stunning Blow, causing whoever to be hit by it becomes stunned and lose their turn, one of the many ailments that may be inflicted. Since combat is so simple, afterthought mechanics such as ailments in any other JRPG become an essential mechanic to learn, and I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't frustrated at Felvidek in the beginning when I refused to learn which enemy causes what ailment so I can defeat them first. I admit defeat after my 4th try and find another pathway to explore. Bad idea. I ventured to the northern pathway of the woods, and this happens. An invisible monster wins and leaves us at 1 HP to go pray back to the altar and regain our health. If a JRPG has a gimmick fight that you're supposed to lose at, don't inconvenience the player by making them load their last save, wasting time to killing them. This instance of this trope was done perfectly. You get the point across that the player shouldn't be over here in a flashy fun manner. It left me content and weary of the world, and most importantly, don't have to load up an old save. It's genius. I noticed someone's shadow shaking in the woods. This guy's collecting pears for his family, and Palov, being the bastard he is, wants to grab one for himself, and this happens. I love these little moments with Palov and Matej, making them feel like an old cartoon duo. Can we get some commissioned Yao fan art of them? After getting some pairs of our own, we grab a couple for our new friend and his family. I backtracked to the castle to purchase the mace from earlier because I don't feel like I'm doing enough damage and I need more powerful feints. We require new ones by equipping new weapons, either from melee or ranged. The mace gives me the ability Crushing Blow, a strong physical hitting move but without any ailment effects, so it's just okay. After this purchase, I felt confident enough to take on the Hussites again, guarding the Jew's house. But someone was willing to help. This was very funny and unexpected, yet a little sad because of my recent mace purchase I wanted to test out. Taking time to do side quests that flesh out the world and meet new characters has a benefit on the actual gameplay as well, and making this challenging fight disappear completely. However, the fact that I'm implying that not battling is a good thing shows how simple and repetitive it can become. Again, it's not a bad combat system by any means, it's just very simplistic. Speaking of side quests, there are so many that I missed. I looked up online a couple guides on like what to do. This is the first game I've ever looked up a guide for. And the game yet again adds 2 party members to my party to back me up against these beasts, allowing me to experiment with new feints, which is a recurring design I wish more JRPGs attempted. Your average one usually glues you to the main story party, which forms a personal bond and concrete strategies for fights, but this felt fresh and a welcome change to the genre. Battles are becoming more engaging with loads of ailments to be wary and experiment with. What I will complain about is the accuracy mechanic. It's in every turn-based JRPG, but when you make one where you can only do like 4 things in combat that all change the tide of battle, paired with an unforgiving nature, it's very noticeable when this luck-based mechanic can lose you a valuable turn, ruining your awesome strategy and drive you crazy. If Felvidek's weapons had a well-communicated accuracy chances with bonus effects in it, it could create another layer of strategy to spice up the combat. I head back to the castle to throw some more coins down the well, and I blow this dude up. Holy shit. He drops an amazing item, increasing my stats by a wide margin, so you know what? That's worth it. My biggest criticism towards Felvidek is the backtracking that's needed to continue the main story. It's a very touchy subject when discussing video game design, especially for me, because people call me crazy when I say I don't love Dark Souls 1 for its necessary backtracking, but you know what? It's just not my favorite thing to do. Felvidek almost always points you in the direction on where you'll go if you pay attention to the story, and what the hell would you be doing but that? However, there were times my brain zoned out while reading and was lost on where to go next, and with some NPCs not giving repeating hint text after the dialogue is exhausted. In other words, a lot of my playtime was figuring out where I should be heading. It's my mistake for not fully paying attention to where I should be going next, wasting time going back and forth trying to locate the next area I should be heading to. But even if I follow the dialogue perfectly, that doesn't change the fact that the correct route to progress is by going on the same path many times. But hey, at the end of the day, this game is super short, so it's not that big of an issue, and I'd rather backtrack to the same few gorgeous locations instead of the many okay ones. Oh my god, it's Timmy! After a fight with our ex, she becomes a playable party member, only for like 5 minutes with the only battle being scripted. The village gets set on fire and we get to dive into some serious combat encounters without any altars or beds to heal us. This felt fun, fast, and most importantly, groovy. The Jew lends us his hot air balloon to soar up to the castle from the beginning of the game to fight the sun guy. He was a good challenging fight that reminded me of how much gold I've been stashing up that needs to be spent on items before the final battle. Who's the Jew now? The stone carved in the wall behind the sun guy reveals the gargoyle from earlier will open up the sewers. We needed to hither over there. Our final location, the sewers, is filled with enemies to fight for some last minute items that need to be bought, but the amount of backtracking you have to do to heal your party after every single fight really got old after like the third fight. The final boss is criticized for his regen buff being too strong, but with the mixture of Pavlov's sword buff, burn, bleed, and a shitload of items, he was a relatively easy fight. The name of the game is item usage. But that's everything I have today. It's a very short game. I didn't cover the story of the game because I thought critiquing the way the game plays sounded more fun to me. I believe Felvidek was time well spent in the end, even with my small gripes. There are very few pieces of media similar to it, and it was for sure a unique experience. Even if you watched this far, go play it if you like JRPGs. It's so fun, and I didn't spoil what makes the story so great, so there's more motivation to do so. Please play it and support the developers. But sadly, I've got to go. I'll see you in the next time well spent. Have a great day.